What's up, everybody? My name is Jake, also known as The Haunted Beard. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to give you my review and ranking for VHS Beyond. This is the latest film in the VHS franchise, the seventh one, in fact, and this one gives us a bit of a sci-fi twist on the found footage subgenre. So, I've got some thoughts here. Like I said, this is going to be a review and ranking. We've got 6 segments to talk about, so here we go. Coming in last place at number 6, and this is the only segment that I would say I genuinely did not like, and that is Dream Girl. This one takes place in Mumbai, India, and it follows this paparazzi videographer, photographer who is trying to get some video shots of a Bollywood star by the name of Tara, and he ends up getting access to the back lot on a movie set where she's filming a movie, and eventually finds his way into her personal trailer where he's trying to get photographs. And I had a few issues with this one. Mainly, it largely relies on a reveal that I felt you could see coming from a mile away. It was very obvious what this sort of big reveal was going to be. And then the way it executes kind of the final horror sequence I found really unsatisfying and just didn't enjoy really at all. They tried to do something a little bit different here, being that part of this takes place within an actual, movie production. The film edits in actual film shots that look like you're watching a real movie because there are cameras on the set. And so you get, what's a typical found footage looking film, but then it also edits in, realistic movie type video as well. And that just didn't really work for me. I didn't like that choice at all. The whole kind of climactic sequence of this one is a complete cluster. And just in terms of how it's edited and put together, extremely shaky cam, very fast cuts and editing, strobe lighting effects and everything. You can hardly see at all what's going on. I'm going to give this one like a 3 out of 10. The ending is just a complete mess. There's some decent practical gore effects at the end, but I found this one largely unsatisfying and very much predictable. And so, yeah, wasn't really a fan of this one. Coming in at number 5 is the frame narrative. This one's called Abduction or Adduction. And these ones for me are always a little hard to kind of, rank and review just because within some of the VHS films, the frame narrative doesn't even really tell a story. And then the ones that kind of do and are a little bit better, they're edited all in a bunch of different pieces. And so it's just kind of hard to, I guess, review them. But anyways, what we get with this one here is this mockumentary where these people are talking about these 2 tapes that have been discovered that supposedly provide verified proof and evidence for actual aliens and extraterrestrial life. And this one overall it's just okay. We've seen stuff like this before. It doesn't really do anything different. It largely kind of relies on the last couple minutes of having a kind of crazy, shocking type moment where they actually show you what's on these 2 VHS tapes. But it's largely just this kind of documentary presentation looking into extraterrestrials, looking at the history of UFOs and things like that, and looking at the history of this house where a lot of this activity has supposedly taken place. So there's not a whole lot to say about this one. It doesn't do anything we haven't really seen before. It's fine. The climactic scene it's decent. It's okay. So this one for me is kind of just middle of the road, 5 out of 10 sort of thing. And so, yeah, that's why I've got Abduction or Adduction at number 5. Coming in at number 4, and I'll say we're moving up a tier. These final 4 I genuinely enjoyed and had a good time with. But coming in at number 4 is Fur Babies, and this was written and directed by Justin Long and Christian Long. And this is the most kind of twisted and depraved one of the bunch. This one tells a story of this woman who runs this doggy daycare type, business right out of her house. And these people go to investigate her because they think she's a little creepy and a little weird. And she's got these taxidermy dogs out on display in her living room. And so it's just all kind of a little weird. And then things take a very dark and whacked out and sinister turn type deal. I won't get into any more specifics. There is definitely some comparisons I could make to some movies, particularly one of Justin Long's movies, but I won't say which one because, again, I don't want to give anything away. But this is one that for people who like just really twisted, depraved kind of stuff, I think this will be right up your alley. The reason why this one isn't any higher on the list is I found the ending to be unsatisfying. It didn't feel like it had much of a conclusion. It just kind of ends, and that's sort of it. And so, yeah, a little bit unsatisfying with the ending, though, but overall still enjoyed this one. I'm going to give Fur Babies a 7 out of 10. I think this one is pretty good. I would like to see Justin Long direct some more stuff. He's got kind of a whacked out sort of mind, but yeah, bring it on, Justin. Give us some more stuff. I would be very interested in seeing what he's got. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Stork, and this one tells the story of this little police squad who are investigating these serial kidnappings of these children, and they have found the location of the person who has done the kidnappings, and so they lead a little raid into this guy's house, and what they find there is not human, and things get crazy and bloody. And this one's just kind of a blast, just sort of a wild ride, almost right from the start. This one has some pretty gnarly practical gore effects. I really like the look of the creatures. This one has a very sort of, first-person POV video game type style to it that I think works pretty well. They added some a musical score in this one a little bit, which I'm usually not a fan of, and I didn't really enjoy it here. It didn't really hinder it too much, as that's kind of my only complaint with this one. This one's just kind of a blast. It gets gnarly. It gets very bloody. Definitely Evil Dead inspired. There's a scene later on in it with a chainsaw that is just a whole lot of fun. And then I'll also say this one has, I think, the best creature design next to Ratma, which is the creature from VHS 94. There's a creature design in this one that I thought was pretty great and pretty memorable, and I quite enjoyed. The sci-fi aspect in this one, too, I won't give it away, but I thought it was kind of cool. It's a little different, just kind of cool. And yeah, I had a pretty good time with Stork. I'm going to give this one actually an 8 out of 10. I think this is a fun one for what it does. If you like just kind of bloody carnage, that first-person video game style, it definitely will satisfy that. Coming in at number 2 is Stow Away. This one was directed by Kate Siegel and written by Mike Flanagan. Man, I really like this one. This one tells the story of this younger woman who is making a documentary investigating aliens and extraterrestrial life. She goes out to the Mojave Desert to investigate. And this one has a bit of an old school type feel to it. It's filmed in the 4:3 aspect ratio. From what I could gather, it takes place most likely in the early to mid 90s. This is the one that feels the most genuine, like an actual found footage type film, at least for the first part of it or so, until things get kind of very sci-fi-ish. But I like kind of how simplistic and sort of stripped down this one was. Has that more so of an authentic feel to it. This one I found pretty fascinating, and I was really captivated by it. I really like what ends up happening with the story. I like the set design, the look and design. Some of the sound effects I found to be really effective to just kind of create a very eerie, foreign type of an atmosphere. I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to ruin any potential surprises or anything like that. But man, I just really like this one. This one leans more heavily into kind of the, I guess you could say, higher concept type sci-fi. It just really leans into that sci-fi vibe, which I really enjoyed. This is one I think some people might have some issues with the visuals here and how it's presented. But man, I really liked it. I found kind of the lack of detail and the lower quality of the film to be pretty effective in this case. And man, how this one ends, and when you realize the horror of what's happening, Dude, it is pretty messed up. I don't know that I've really seen anything quite like it, and it is some pretty gnarly sci-fi horror when it dawns on you, like, what is happening with this woman. And yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. But man, I really like this one. I thought it was very solid. I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10 for Stow Away. I don't know if this is Kate Siegel's first attempt at directing, but if it is, this is incredibly impressive. Big fan of her as an actor. She's done some great stuff. Obviously helps a little bit that she's got her husband writing for her. But man, I hope to see her do some more stuff in the director's chair. I was quite impressed. And coming in at number 1 is Live and Let Dive. And man, this thing is absolutely insane in the best possible way. I loved this segment, and this to me is an all-timer. I don't know exactly where I would put it within all the other segments in the VHS franchise, but I'm going to just say it's for sure in the top 5. This one might be in the top 3 for me. This is an absolute riot. This is a thrill ride. This is a roller coaster of sci-fi horror. Man, just such an incredible, intense, and wild experience. This one tells the story of this group of friends who are going skydiving to celebrate their friend's 30th birthday. And they look out the window of the plane and they see a UFO, and there's a freaking alien invasion happening as they start to skydive out of this plane. And dude, the camera work in here is incredible. I'm sure there's some obvious, digital and CGI effects that were added into this, but I feel like a lot of it, in terms of that camera work from the skydive stuff, it felt very practical and realistic. So the way they were able to implement the digital effects with the real in-camera stuff, I was very impressed with. This one's got just some gnarly blood and gore in it. The creature design in this one is pretty awesome as well. It's just nonstop. I had such a blast with this one, and the ending is pretty fantastic. This is 20 minutes of phenomenal sci-fi horror stuff that I thoroughly enjoyed. And so for me, this one is going to get a solid 9 out of 10, maybe even 9.5. It's very much up there. I loved Live and Let Dive. It is pretty great stuff. So those are my thoughts, and that is my ranking on VHS Beyond. Man, 7 movies deep into this franchise, and they still got some stuff. I really enjoyed this overall. Like I said, there was really only one segment that I didn't enjoy. So yeah, I had a really good time with VHS Beyond. Hit me up down below. Let me know your thoughts on the movie. Let me know how you would rank these segments. Always look forward to hearing from you guys. Like always, thank you so much for watching. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.